Hello, everyone. Bob Fashano here from Keiser University and Lead the Way podcast. Welcome. Each month, we will bring to you business and community leaders who are going to share their leadership journey and share some practical insights with you. Today, we are honored to have as our guest Karen Lau. Karen is the CEO of Porta Potty To Go. She's also a business and a life coach. So I know she has a lot of real great practical insights. And Karen, we're so happy that you're with us today. So let's get started.
Thank you.
Okay? It might be good for the audience to learn a little bit more about Karen, about your background. You're an entrepreneur. You now have a family business. You do some business and some life coaching. That's quite extensive and it keeps you busy. But I think it's important that we learn a little bit about your journey and what got you to this place. Can you just share a little bit with our audience of that, please?
Usually big changes happen because of crisis. So the reason I got into the portable toilet business was because crisis happened to me. And I found myself with no money in a new place because I had recently moved to Florida, and with a very smart son that learned that the portable toilet business was very profitable.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, when you're going to outdoor events, these are not the little porta potties that you see on construction sites. These are really, really top, first-class places, and you guys have done a great job with that. So, and I know you have a facility, a warehouse, and is it fabrication? Do you put these together, or how does that work?
Well, part of our experience was that we had no money to buy the portable toilets put together. So in order to save some of the transportation, which was very expensive, we decided to buy the first units unassembled, and then we work on learning how to put them together. So we worked at a site that we didn't own, and gradually we grew and were able to buy our own premises, which are in downtown West Palm Beach.
That's great. It's a great story. So when you start a business, I've had an opportunity many, many years ago to start a business, and many of our audience, I'm sure, are startup businesses or are thinking of starting a business. Could you share with us some of the challenges? Because I know I've had plenty of challenges when I started. I'm sure you have as well. Would you mind sharing some of those challenges of the early days and how you were able to navigate and get through some of those early challenges?
Yes. First, limitations exist in our mind. That's the first thing we need to become aware of. When we think we cannot do something, that we won't. But when we're convinced in the heart that we can achieve something, that is going to happen. And us, we were convinced that we could make it. So we started very, very small. We started with one very, very old truck and 10 portable toilets that we bought used from somebody and that we had to scrape and paint so that we could start renting them. So that was one of the first challenges. We had no money. We had just a little bit of money, and we used every penny that we had to make it happen because we were determined.
Boy, I could feel her passion. I could feel your passion. And it takes that. It takes conviction, I'm sure. It takes persistence, which you apparently have used for that. Thank you for sharing that. Here at Keiser, we are entering the third year of our Amplify mentoring program. And this is where we bring business and community leaders in to mentor our grad students. And I've asked Karen to participate this year in that, and she is going to be doing that, which we're very grateful for that. But mentoring has an important role in a business leader's life. Could you share with us some of your experiences, whether it be a mentor or you were being mentored, or both, that have helped shape your career and your business life up to this point?
Yes, I have a beautiful story regarding mentorship. I went to a conference. I was invited to listen to this gentleman that was a well-recognized speaker. And at the end of the conference, I was deeply impressed by his knowledge. So I waited for everybody to leave, and I approached him and I said, if you teach me how to work, I'll work for you for free. And that's exactly what happened. He hired me for nothing, and I started working for free. But one of the most important thing that happened in my life was meeting that person. He taught me how to work from scratch. He taught me that knowledge was a critical thing, and you have a great advantage when you start collecting information. So he was a great speaker, and I thought, oh man, this gentleman is going to make me a very prestigious speaker once I start working for him. But for my surprise, what he did is that he started by making me file all his paperwork that he had on a desk. So I was curious enough to check on every single document that came to my hands, and I started reading the books that he had on his shelves. And by the end of that year, I was pretty much ahead of the game because I was interested in collecting information. So we need to look at those people that have already done it, that have already had success, that have already been exposed to life, and try to approach them confidently, because these people have a baggage of information that would change our career, would shorten our trajectory to success.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. So there's a firsthand experience of what it means to be mentored.
Yes.
Can we just change gears for a minute? Could you tell us a little bit about opportunities that you've had in your career to pay it forward and mentor someone else?
Yes, that is also a great story, because when I was working as a coach, I had the chance to work for this corporation that had a lady, and he was part of this program that I was implementing in this corporation. And then I left, and one day she calls me and she said, the information that you provided really changed my career. So I would be interested in having you become part of a larger program that I'm involved in. And for my surprise, she represented the European Union in Latin America, and they hired me as a coach. So I started coaching a large community of executives that were part of the European Union in Latin America. And I was able to share my experience with the portable toilet industry and how you can start from a very small beginning, how information, how learning constantly can make you better, how diversity is very important, how feeling comfortable with people of all sorts of lifestyle, it's important. So my experience coaching people that were from different origins, different nations, just enlarged me as a person.
That's so good. Thank you for that. We're just a few minutes into this podcast, and I hope you get a sense for what has made Karen successful, because I have in the short period of time. She is she really, in addition to being passionate, is really has a vision. I see that. I see the resilience. I see persistence. I like what you just said there at the very end. You said, I'm going to paraphrase, but what I heard you say is being a lifelong learner is critical. And that maybe that's a good segue into this next question I want to ask you. You've overcome a lot in starting your business. You've accomplished some great things here. You have 2 sons that are in the business with you, so you have a family business. So how are you staying current? How are you staying sharp? What are you doing now to continue this learning process?
I'm going to respond to your question with 2 words: habits and discipline. When we want to evolve to become a better version of who we are, those are 2 critical words that we need to consider. So I'm a mother and I have 3 kids, and I've been a very demanding person with them since they were very little. But now that they're adults, I can see that teaching them discipline was instrumental to make them great business people. So it's a legacy that comes from habits of exercising, reading all the time, being interested in podcasts and learning from other people that can mentor you, from continuing your education. It's never late to start educating yourself. So challenge yourself to the habit of reading. Challenge yourself to being disciplined in what you do. If you start something, finish it. Challenge yourself to finish what you started, and that will make you a different person.
Ah, that's so good. That's really good. You know, you have put together an organization. It's not a one-person organization. You have a team. I'd like to talk about team building a little bit. And what are some of the things, what are some of the characteristics that you look for in bringing people on board to your organization?
That too I can define with one word: attitude. Attitude, it's a game changer. And you can immediately read that in body language. And I use a test when I'm hiring somebody. I invite them into my office and I drop something. Some people will just pass that object that I drop. It could be a pen, it could be a cup. Some people would stop and pick it up. So they pass the first test.
Okay.
Some people would complete the application. Some people would not. But you start reading people through their actions, their body language. Do they smile? Do they feel comfortable on how they interact with you? And if they're positive regarding this new opportunity that they're looking for. So I don't really, it doesn't really matter if they know a lot in the industry that we're in. What really matters is the heart and the interest they bring to our organization. Because that's a game changer. When you're passionate, when you're interested, when you have the right attitude, everything changes.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing there is, first of all, I totally agree with you 100%. You know, there's some things that we can do, audience. We can train people. We can teach them certain things. We can help them get knowledge that they need to grow. But what I'm hearing you say is they need to bring attitude and mindset to the table.
That is correct.
That's what, that we can't teach. They have to have that, and that's a great characteristic. And you said that's number one.
Yes.
That's good stuff. So I'd like to now ask you a little bit about, things always haven't been smooth for you, I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure that in your case, as in most business owners' cases, we deal with conflicts. We deal with misunderstandings. We deal with communication. Sometimes we have some difficult people that we deal with. Okay?
Correct.
Can you think of a couple of instances where you've had to overcome a particular conflict? Could be any one of those things: poor performance, difficult people. How did you navigate that? How did you get through that? And what is the process that you use? Because conflicts are part of everyday business. We just can't avoid them. That's all part of being a leader. It's all part of taking your team to accomplish your vision. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm pretty much convinced, Bob, that emotions play a pretty big role in our daily routines. Sometimes we don't understand our own emotions, or we let them overwhelm our daily behavior. So becoming aware of how we feel, that awareness of how we feel brings a lot to the table. One of the things that I do when I go to work is just to analyze how I feel and be ready to handle every activity that I'm involved in as a process that has a beginning and has to come to an end. But I'm not emotionally involved. And if I'm emotionally involved, I know that I will bring the right emotion to the table. So one of the things that I learned as a coach is that emotions can blurry your vision of where you're going and what is it that you're achieving. But that awareness of which is the emotion that I'm bringing to my everyday activity really changes how you interact with others.
That's so good, because you've developed a self-awareness of where you exist at that point, and you can bring that out to the table, out on the table, and help get through, whether it be poor performance, whether it be whatever, the conflict, the communication issue, whatever it might be. That's really so good. Today, we can't avoid technology. We can't avoid social media. So if you start thinking about those things, how have they entered your world in business, and how have you got through that? What are you doing about those things today? And how have they helped your business?
Well, first of all, I believe that I'm the luckiest person in the entire world because I have my two boys that are so into technology. So even though I'm a different generation, and I might be the person that uses a lot of emotional intelligence in our corporation, I have another son, my son Paul, who is very factual. He goes into the facts of all the organization. And then I have Steve, who handles everything that is involved with technology. So if we want to be successful, we need to have the right team working with us. Not for us. That's a different story. With us.
Yeah. That's so good, because there's another message there, and that's a message that you might not be particularly skilled in an area that's important in the business, but getting the right people
Correct.
to perform in that skill set. I might say areas where we might not be so strong, we might be weak, we might not have the knowledge to do this.
Correct.
But having other people in that place is
Yes.
really key. As I think about this, and I think about you growing your business, what's in the future for Porta Potty To Go?
We've been working on becoming very cohesive. So we're tight. We understand each other. Our working environment is very healthy. There's a strong feeling of trust. People cannot work freely if there's not that trust, where we trust people. We know that they might make mistakes, but we believe in that they can continuously improve. So where we're going, we're building a strong team. And with this team, we're expanding. So we already work in Broward, Dade, Palm Beach, and Martin County. But this is very new. You're going to be one of the first people out of the family context to know that we already started this week in Orlando.
Ah, how about that? Well, now you got a whole audience out there that's hearing that for the first time. So it's not new anymore.
It's not new anymore. We're
casting
already
it-
in Orlando.
That's really great, because you're a visionary,
Yes.
and it seems like you have transitioned your sons into have that kind of mindset, that visionary. That reminds me of something that I want to talk about here. I transitioned my business to my son a few years ago, and when you're a parent and you have a son or sons who are taking over the business, you in every day, and I know I'm speaking to people here that are probably in a similar situation, that have a family business, but you wear two hats every day. You wear the hat of a parent, and you wear the hat of the CEO. And I can't speak for you, but I'm going to ask you. I know in my case, I had to work very hard on which hat I had on when I spoke to my son. And that's a challenge for both of us. So we had to work at that, and thankfully, we were able to get through it very successfully. I'm interested to know how you wear those two hats. Maybe our audience would like to hear that too.
I became a mother when I was very young. I was 18 years old when I had my daughter. She's the first one. My daughter is a doctor, so she's not involved in the business. But then I had the boys, and it was like a kid playing with other kids. So the fact that we had a very relaxed relationship since childhood, and that I was able to develop friendship with I'm tough. I'm not easy. I'm a tough mom. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. But the fact that there was also that opportunity of allowing them to be themselves, respecting who they were by nature, not trying to make them like me, and finding out which each of their strengths was. So learning who they are was critical to, as a family, being able to work together. And when everything is done at work, we go to my house, they come to my house, I cook dinner for them. They cook dinner for me, they barbecue for me, and we forget that we're involved in a business.
You're no longer the CEO, you're the mom now.
I'm
you're
the mom. So
that's so good. That's so good.
From a hat of CEO, I go to an apron, and I become the cook.
That's so good. Well, we're wrapping up here,
Okay.
and thank you so much for that. But I do want to ask you one thing. I believe in our audience out there is a younger Karen. There is somebody who has a passion to start a business. Maybe somebody's just started a business. Maybe there's a student out there watching this that is inspired by your message. Can you just give that young Karen a couple of pieces, a couple of gems of advice?
Yes. So I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that when you're in your most critical moments, you have to believe that there is something bigger than you to take you to the next level. So faith is critical when you're starting anything. Second, I'm also very much passionate and comfortable with myself. If I had to speak to the younger Karen that was a little bit doubtful about who she could become, I would tell her now, don't doubt yourself. Be confident. Trust your instincts. Follow that call that is coming from within your heart, and just dare to take the next step.
Wow. I'm inspired. I hope you are too. And this is all we have for now. Karen, thank you so much for
Bob.
your time.
A pleasure.
And we look forward to seeing you next month. And I have one message I want to leave you with. Just go and lead the way. Bye for now.